Hello and welcome. Today we'll be doing a content slider or image slider on React. As you can see, I have already built a demo for you. So as you can see, I got 4 items or 4 cards here, and we got 2 buttons. So in this first page or first button, I got 4 items displaying here, and when I click next, it will basically render the next 4 items, and when I click previous, it will basically render the previous 4 items. Okay, so I will basically start from the scratch. I have already created a React project for you, so I'll just basically navigate to that folder. I have named it slider, and I will basically start npm start to restart the development server, and I have already created the project for you. So when we create React project, that basically give us a default React snippet, so we'll just get rid of that first. So you got nothing here, and in the source folder I will create a folder called slider. Okay, and in the slider folder I will create a file called slider.js, and also another file for slider.module.css. So basically I'm using CSS module, so I can import the styling as a JavaScript object key value pair here. Okay, so let's just begin with the slider. First I need to import React from React. I also need to import the styling and from slider.module.css. Okay, now let's just declare the functional component, and I have to name it as a slider. So okay, this would be an ES6 arrow function. So in here I have to return diff for now, and finally I need to basically export as a default slider, and then I need to import it. We no longer need this logo, so I will be importing that slider component from slider folder, and I have to capitalize it. This is JSX, and then I need to declare the slider component. Okay, so that's basically it. And so basically for the icon, as you can see, for this icon I will basically import it from Font Awesome. Okay, and for that I have to install this the Font Awesome library in our React package. So I have already done that, but if you don't know how to do that, so I'll basically show you how you can import Font Awesome icons. Install Font Awesome on React, and they basically gave us a nice documentation, so how you can use it. It's very simple. So I'm using npm, but if you are using yarn, there's the command for yarn, and this is the command for npm. So we need to basically copy these 4 commands. We have to copy this all command, or at least 2, because I'm basically importing the solid SVG icons package from the Font Awesome. So I basically installed this. I have basically copied these two commands, but you can copy all of three of them. Okay, so as I have done that, so let's import Font Awesome, import something from Font Awesome library. Okay, and that something would be basically Font Awesome icon. Okay, and then we have to basically import all the icon from that SVG solid. Okay, solid icon, and the icon I need to import, basically I would import the 12 icon from there. It will take quite okay, I will just basically start typing it. So I want to have FA tooth, then FAI, FA capsules, FA heart pulse, then FA bone, sorry, not bomb, FA bone, then FA lunge, FA bacteria somewhere here. Okay, then FA head side virus, then FA ear diff, FA baby, FA pregnant here somewhere, should be there, FA pregnant, okay, person pregnant, and FA user. Okay, I need basically one more icon, so I will go to the search. Here I basically type doctor, so general physician. Here is the user, FA user doctor. Okay, so FA user doctor. Okay, so I got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8 9 10 11 12. Okay, I got 12 item here. So I have already imported the icons from Font Awesome. So now I basically want to display all these item in our slider component. Okay, for that I have to create a JavaScript object here. So I will name it as cards. Okay, so before I create this object, I basically want to show you that what I mean by this. Okay, so for that I will basically style.main. Let me create the div, basically the cards. Okay, so each and inside the div I will then have basically 4 child div, where all child div will have then basically styles dot card, and inside there I want to import Font Awesome icon, where the icon prop will be FA tooth, and then I want to have a h3 tag where it says dental, and for the p tag I will basically, let's say, dental practice. Okay, so then basically copying that down into multiple item. So I have the 4 card here. Okay, so let's see how does it look for now. Okay, I basically forgot to have the okay, it's already there. It's giving us some warning, but don't worry about it for now. Okay, so localhost 3000. Okay, so that's here for now. So as you can see, each of them is individual card here. Okay, so we got 1 2 3 4. I haven't changed it because all the property here is basically the same, but I just want to show you what the styling will be looking like. So let's do that then. Okay, so main, I basically want to have width of 100%, and then I want to have a little bit of padding, let's say 10 pixels for now, and box sizing would be border box. Then I want to have a background color, a nice color I have written somewhere. Okay, so this is the color. Okay, and then I want to have a display of flags. Okay, and then justify content is space evenly, and align item is center. That's it for the main. So let's do the card. So each card will then have a width of, let's say, 300 pixel and a height of, let's say, 400 pixel, or even 390. So I think I wrote 300. Okay, and then I will basically have a display of flags and flags flow of column. Then I want to have a justify content of space evenly, as same here, align item also center. Then I also want to have a border of 1 pixel solid, and maybe have a little bit of grayish color. Okay, and let's see how does it look it now. As you can see, we are nearly there, but as you can see, let's look a bit. Okay, so what we can do here is, instead of space evenly, we can basically set center. Okay, and then I want to basically increase the size of this icon. So there is a special props for that in the font awesome. In here, I think it should say small or something, or size. I think it's size, but I won't do that. Instead, I will basically declare a class name. So basically, I can also change the color of the this icon. Okay, so for that, I will basically use class name here. So 2 3 4. Okay, so for the font, I'll basically have a font size, so I can use font size to increase it. Let's see, 40 pixel, and give it a color of, let's say, a little bit a bluish color, but not that blue, maybe a darker blue will do the job. Okay, as you can see, it's basically working, but maybe we can increase the size of a little bit, let's say 48 pixel. Yeah, a little bit bigger. Okay, we can also get some font from Google. Okay, you can use any font you like. For sake of simplicity, I will just use Roboto here. Okay, I am choosing this style, and then I will just basically import it from there. Okay, so let's import top of the page, and so I will just place it in the main, so all the child and everything is just get the font. Okay, it looks a little bit better anyway. Okay, so as the card, I will basically use a border radius of 10 pixels now, just for now. Okay, and as you can see, we have a little bit curvy edge here. Okay, now in card I can also have a background color of plain white. Okay, right. Okay, so that is our styling just for now. So let's just go with the dynamic way, so we don't have to hard code it each time. So for, let's say we got 12 items and we don't have to type it and hard code it for 12 items, it will be quite longer. Okay, there's a better solution for that. Okay, for that I have to basically create a JavaScript object, which I was talking about a little bit earlier. So let's say I have an object here. It's called maybe cards, which would be a JavaScript object, and then which basically will have a key or property name here. So whenever we call this name, let's say I name it fa2 here, for just for the sake of simplicity, I say for fa2, and when I call this property, then I can have basically that property will basically holds the image and the h3 tag and the p tag. Okay, so whenever I call, let's say it doesn't have to be a fa2, but you can name it anything. But let's say I name it fa2, and when I call this object, and then I can get the image and the h3 tag and the p tag. Okay, so for that I will basically say fa2 here, and then that will be also a JavaScript object where I name it image, so I can basically import the image from the where I imported. So, okay, so that will be image, that will be our h3 tag where I can say it is dental. Okay, and for p tag I can write anything. Okay, for sake of simplicity, let's say dental practice. Okay, so the same way I have to do this for the rest of the 11 item. Okay, so that will basically take quite a long time. So I will basically get back when I just write all the 12 item here. Okay, so as you can see, I have basically done the the image and st and p tag, all the things here. Excuse me. So, and for the p tag I basically imported the lorem ipsum text from the lorem ipsum website. Okay, but you can put anything you like. Okay, so that is our object. So basically the idea behind this is we want to basically loop through that object with the name of the properties, let's say the key name. So we want to loop through that key name and each loop will just basically extract the image, the h3 and p tag, and then we want to inject, let's say, in our font or some component, the h3 tag and p tag. Okay, so I will show you what do I mean by this. So inside this functional component body, I will basically declare a variable, one, let's say card display. Okay, and then I will basically call the object.keys method. Okay, object.keys method, which basically takes an object. Okay, so what does it mean, object.keys? Okay, so it basically takes an object. So let's say I put this object here, this cards object, and what will it do? It will basically copy this whole object, the key, the property name, or the key from that object, all of them, let's say 12 of them, and then we'll make an array. So it will return an array, as you can see here. So if we write from the beginning, we'll see it's saying object that contain properties and method that can be an object that you created or existed document object, return the name of the enumerable string properties method of object. It didn't say. Okay, we can go down a bit. Okay, okay, it didn't say that it basically return an array, but it basically return an array. Okay, you can Google through or go to MDN for the reference. Okay, so I will show what do I mean by this. So cards and this thing now, so object.keys basically now return an array. Okay, and then we can basically call the map method, which is an array method, which is basically, this map method is basically loop through the loop through the item. So let's say this object.keys basically return an array. Okay, let's say we have an array which is, let's say, A, B, C, or D, or could be anything. So what this map method it does is basically loop through this component or the item of the array. So each item, let's say for first loop is A, and then it basically takes an it also takes an function as an argument, and then what it will do, it will basically loop through the first item for the first loop, and then it will basically execute that function we're going to declare a few seconds, and then it will basically execute the function for each item basically. Okay, so for the first item it will execute that function, and for the second item it will also execute the function. Okay, so for so on and so forth. Okay, so let me show you what do I mean by this. So item, it could be anything you name. Okay, but I will name it item, and I said that it also take a function. Okay, so this is the arrow function, and it basically return statement. Okay, so what do I want to return here? Okay, so I want to basically return a let's say for this first item. So first item would be f2. So when you go to f2, I basically want to return a card representing the image h3 tag and the p tag. Okay, so let me show what do I mean by this. So I will basically copy that div, so we basically represent a single card. I'll paste it down here and make it look like a little bit presentable. Okay, so this card, it basically have everything we define here, the same thing. Okay, but this time we basically don't hard code it for each item. We just basically injecting the class name and everything, and then basically the rest of the work will do by the object keys and the map method. Okay, so for the icon, as you can see, I have provided here fa2. So this is now no longer fa2. That will be the basically the item that comes with each loop. So in the first loop it will be fa2. So what I'm just telling here, so when you go to first loop, when you are in this this property, bring me the image. Okay, so let's say it's in the last loop, okay, in the doctor, this property. So what I'm saying is basically extract that image property or image value of this image property, and we'll inject in the icon props. Okay, let's see how we can say that. So it should be cards and it should be the item. So item would be, as I'm saying it again, the item should be the property name of the property name of that card object or each loop. Okay, so we start from the beginning, fa2, and then it will basically go down one by one. So first loop it should be fa2, and I'm saying extract the image from the image property. Okay, so the item will be the first item. So at this point we are just basically here. Okay, image, no, oh sorry, basically we are in fa2. So we have to go down to this image property. So how can we do that? We can just basically say extract the image. So the image is a string. Okay, so it basically, as you can see, image is a string. So we just say when you go to f user doctor and then go to that image property and return whatever inside there. So when you go to there, it says f user doctor. Okay, then what is this f user doctor? So you will go there and you will see it basically finds, it will find f user doctor here, basically importing from solid as VG icon from Font Awesome component. Okay, so it basically, the whole idea is basically automatic. Okay, so the image is done. So what about the h3 tag? Okay, it will basically the same thing, but this time it's not image, it should be the p tag, oh sorry, not p tag, h3 tag. Okay, so it will be h3 tag. Okay, and same goes for that p tag. Let's say we have a cards and it should be item and it should be p. Okay, okay, so let's get rid of these hard-coded cards here. We no longer needed them. So now we can basically place those variable here. So whenever the page load, it will basically go through that loop and then will return everything we got here. Okay, so card display. Okay, that basically it. At this point it should be working, if I'm not mistaken, and as you can see it works. It just works, and as you can see we got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. We got 12 item. Okay, so as I went there, I figured out I should have a card hover selector. So whenever we hover over the items, it should have a box shadow, so it looks like the way we basically showed here, 12 pixel, 8 pixel, and it should be not white but little bit grayish color. All right, so let's see, little bit of grayish color. Okay, and it also, I should say, should have an animation. I will name it hover, which will then basically take 0.3 seconds, which will then ease out and the direction will be forward. And then let me declare this animation hover. So at 0% we'll basically do nothing. I could leave it empty, but just for the sake of simplicity, I just basically define it here. So what it does is basically transform a translate of y direct axis minus 10 pixel. Okay, so let's see if it's working. Okay, as you can see, we have a nice hover effect here. Okay, anyway, so the as the video is getting quite longer, okay, so we should be finishing with the pagination system. Okay, so as the card generator, I should say, is done, so I will go through that pagination system, so I can basically have so I can basically have those buttons, so I can go display 4 item or any specific item for each page. Okay, so now for now, let's say we want to display item per page, 4 item per page. Okay, and we should also have a current page is 0, so whenever it loads, it should be on 0 position, so then it render the first page. Okay, and then what I want to do here is basically I will basically use this that map method through that key through that object. So the same way we went through this method, all right, so this object.keys method. So but before that, I basically want to have each specific item, let's say 4 items each time. So when it's 4 items, and then it basically return 4 item, and the rest of the item is basically depends on how we click. Okay, I mean whenever we click next button, then it basically return the next 4 items. So for that, we need a calculation or logic, I should say. Okay, so let me do it here. Okay, so before that map method, we should say we should have a slice method. So we basically take a slice, like a portion of the portion of that key object value here, of this JavaScript object. Okay, so a portion, let's say 4 of the item, so 4, and then basically it will then go through instead of 12 item, I'll basically say go through the first 4 items, and then when you click next, it will basically move through the next 4 items, and when you click back, it will basically go back to the first 4 item. Okay, that's the general idea here. Okay, for that I will basically use the slice method. Okay, the slice method basically takes 2 argument, or 2 number, I should say. So the first is the start number, or the beginning number. So if I say, let's say, go through item 1 to 4, so for that it basically takes a starting number. So a starting number should be 0, because we know index start from 0, not from 1. So 0, and then it says end number. Okay, for now I just basically hard coded. So let's say 0 to 4, and then it basically use the map method. Okay, so then it basically works, but that is not the case here. Okay, so I have to do a calculation. So it basically, based on the calculation, it basically go through the whole list of this JavaScript object. Okay, for that I will have to say I will have to say, let's say, how many pages I have, depending on how many items do I have. Okay, so let's say I got 12 items, and I want to display 4 items in 1 page. Okay, So that means I get 12 divided by 4, that means I have 3 pages. Okay, so I have to do the calculation here. Okay, so what do I mean by this is let's say object dot keys, right, and then I have declared the cards here. Okay, so dot, it should have, okay, hang on a second, I forgot to declare the variable name here, but I should say total page equal object dot keys dot card dot length. Okay, so what it does is basically, as you can see here, I can basically show you what do I mean by this is total page okay. I think I told you that we will be getting an error regarding to the key property. I will go in a few minutes. Okay, but for that the one I wanted to show you here is 12. Okay, so we got 12. I basically got it from looping through that object right here, looping through that object, and I just figured out how many items do I have. So it means that I got 12 items. So it basically got the length from that array. Okay, so 12. So what I can do here is what I can do here is basically I can divide it by how many items I want to display. Let's say item per page, and that will basically give us a number. Okay, that will basically give us a number regarding to total page. Let's see, what do I mean by this? If I go back there again, as you can see, we got 3 here. That means we have figured out how many pages do we need. I mean, how many pages do we have depending on how many items do I have. Okay, okay, so that's figured out, and now we have to define how we can basically set the starting number and end number. Okay, so to do that I will basically show you how it's done. So let's say I got my current page is 0. Okay, so my current page is 0, and then I basically want to render 4 items. Okay, so let's say I will basically comment down here. So what I will show you what do I mean by this. In the first page I basically want to load 1 to 4. Okay, and the second render I basically want to render 4 to 8 items, and the third I want to basically return 8 to 12. So as you can see, each time I basically rendering 4 items. Okay, so for that I need a calculation. The calculation would be the current page. So the current page here is 0, and then we basically multiply with the item per page, so 4, and the ending number would be current page. Okay, so let's say current page is 0 times 4 plus 4. Okay, now what do I mean by this? Okay, let's say that I have when our page is rendered for the first time, so we're on the first page. Okay, so our current page number should be 0. So when it's 0 is basically do the calculation here. 0 times 4 basically comes 0, and 0 times 4 plus 4 basically comes 4. Okay, so when I inject this value into the slice method, then what it does, it basically gives us the value of 0 and 4. Okay, and then it basically take the four item of a portion into the map method, and then basically return 4 item here. Okay, so that is the first time. Okay, so let's say we have some functionality and we can hit click click on the next button, and then we somehow manipulate the value of current page from 0 to 1. And what happened then, it basically the 1 become 0 become 1, and then it basically go for 4 times 1 basically give us 4. Okay, and then 4 times 1 comes 4 plus 4, you give us 4. Okay, so let's say our current page number is now 2. So what is happening here? Okay, so 2 times 4 basically give us 8. Okay, and then 2 times 4 basically give us 8 plus 4 give us 12. So as you can see, so after defining the logic, all we have to do is to manipulate or denominating the current page number, and then it basically give us the the automatic the rendering item. Okay, so let's define the logic here. Okay, so let's even back to 0. So let's say our current page times item per page. Okay, and then for the second argument we say current page time item per page. Okay, for that I basically need a parenthesis pair, so I can basically do the math, so the multiplication first. Okay, if you go to arithmetic operator or arithmetic operation, you will see that it basically go to the multiplication first. Okay, so then I basically add item per page again, so the same logic basically we're defining here. Okay, current page times item per page plus item per page. Okay, so that basically it. Okay, so let's see if this bad boy is working or what. Okay, let's get rid of this key because it's basically irritating me. Okay, so we have for that every React component has a key props, so basically we have to pass any number on any identical number, so it basically have a track of which property or which component is basically passing. So for that I will just basically pass the item because it's not super complicated and we don't have anything else. Okay, so for doing that, if we reload the page, okay, it's saying it again. Maybe we have another do we have another loop somewhere here? Okay, object.keys and then slice.map returning item. Oh, basically is we have placed in the wrong place. Basically it shouldn't be here, it should be in the diff because this is the first component is rendering, so this is the parent. Okay, and let's reload it, and voila, as you can see it's gone. And as you can also see, our logic is working. Okay, so it's basically rendering 4 items. All is left is basically button. Okay, so let's do that then. So inside the alright, as you can see we are getting error, and the reason behind it is we are returning a single, returning JSX. Okay, so all we basically everything we have to define in the diff. So if we have another diff, it will basically give us an error, it will not let us render. Okay, and to avoid that I have a simple solution here. So in the source folder I will basically create a folder which will say HOC, which means higher order component. Okay, and I will create a file called aux.jx. So what it does, it basically takes a component as an argument and then return whatever is passing inside, and then basically it just return. Okay, so what I can say is props dot children. Okay, so it's basically returning whatever is passing through that component, and then export default aux. Okay, this video is getting quite longer, man. Shit, sorry. Okay, so let's import that aux here somewhere. Import aux from HOC and then aux. Okay, and now let's just inside the return statement, let's import it here first. Okay, all right, and then we basically return everything inside. Okay, it should be another div, but this time I name it class name should be styles dot let's say it's a pagination system, so let's say pagination. Okay, and here inside here, and I said it should be automatic, and I will do that here. So as you can see, we have the number of how many pages we have total. So we have 3 pages total. So what we can do here is basically we can create an let's say page and empty array. Okay, and we can basically have a for loop. We basically say I equal to 0, I should be less than, just less than, not more, not less than equal, otherwise it will give us the not the exact amount of page. Okay, so I basically plus plus. So what it's saying is we are basically declaring a variable which is initialized with 0, and then we basically saying it will go until total page is 3, so it will basically render 3 times, and then it will basically increment 1 by 1. So that is basically for loop. Okay, so inside the for loop, what I want to do is I want to push that item, push that I inside that into that array. Okay, now let's see what do I mean by this. If we console.log and say page, okay, so line number 111, if we go there and if we pull that a little bit up, as you can see, we got an array of 3 elements here. So we got 1 2 3. So what we did here, basically we have the total page number. Okay, so basically we used that number to create an array, so we can loop that over, and then we can basically make the button, let's say one, so we can, let's say, make 3 buttons. Okay, okay, so our array is done. So let's just go through that array. So let's say page dot map, and let's go with the item, and as I said, it basically takes a function as an argument. It will then return what we want to return. Okay, so before we go through that loop, I basically want to show you how our button would be. Okay, so let's go to the div, copy and paste 2 times. Let's say class name should be styles.ptn for button. Okay, I don't need to do that twice because I'm doing it automatically. Just to give you an idea what do I mean by this, like basically creating two buttons. Okay, pagination and button. So let's go there. The styling bit, pagination is basically I will take the width of 100% and I want to have display of flags, then justify content center, and then align item also should be center. Then I want to have maybe a little bit of padding 10 pixel, which is doesn't matter, but you do styling whatever you want. Okay, and I want to have the box sizing border box is we don't have any weird styling. And for the button I will basically have a height of maybe 20 pixel and a width of maybe 40 pixel. Okay, and then I will have a background color of, let's say, orange for now, and I do not want any border, but I do want border radius of 10 pixel or maybe 20 pixels so it's visible. Okay, and let's see how does it look. Okay, it not appearing here just because we have declared it but we haven't saved it here. Okay, we saved it and let's see, we got a styling but it looks a bit weird. It doesn't look as good as we saw in the first time. So let's see how we can manipulate the styling. So let's say we got maybe 7 pixel and width, let's say maybe 35 pixel. And by now, what do I mean by this? We also want to set a margin 0 and 0 and then 10 pixel, so we have a little bit spacing between that. Okay, so now what I want to do, I will basically grab those property, grab this value over here, and I will simply paste it down. Okay, that was the button. And okay, so that is how it will look like. Okay, and of course we can have, as you can see, the pagination system, we can have a margin of let's say 30 pixel, maybe 30 pixel auto. Okay, and as you can see, it looks quite nice. We'll go with the styling, but let's go with the logic here. So how we can basically generate these buttons automatically. Okay, so now let's go through the loop. So we will basically loop through this array. So this array is not empty now, as basically we are loop through this total page number. So 3 times we basically injecting 3 items. It could be anything, but as for now it's just basically inserting the number here. So loop through that and we'll basically copying that down, basically returning this JSX. Okay, hang on a second, what is going on here? Okay, so returning okay, so basically returning that, and then I want to basically let pagination, have I defined that out earlier? No. Okay, so now I will just paste it down here, pagination, right? Pagination. So let's see if it's working, and look at that, it's basically working. So we got three pages here, right? So and now button, I should have a cursor of pointer, and by that I also want to basically, as you can see, is now working, the pointer is working, but as you can see, three of them is like still active. Okay, so right, let's set the color so we can have an inactive color. Let's say we're just taking a transparent value. Okay, maybe this color is okay. We're taking that value and we're just placing it here. So by default it basically is this color, and when it's active, we'll define it right now. So if let's go with the function. Okay, let's go with the function first, because I just don't want to see that. I also want to have a functionality, so whenever we click it, excuse me, it will basically do something about it. Okay, so for that, as I said, when I click on this button, it will basically go next, previous, or whatever. Okay, so for that, as I told you earlier, that it basically we need to manipulate these current page properties. Okay, so we can't do that right now, I mean this way. So what we can do here, we can use this we can basically have an React hook here. So const, I will say page number, okay, and then set page number, okay, and we will use React use state, the React hook for functional component, and that will initialize with 0. Okay, as this video is going quite longer, so I'm not going through that, but I will just give a little bit touch. So what does it mean by this? Is a React hook. So this is the state or property. So this 0 is basically the value of this property, and this set page number is basically the function. Is a function. Basically you just pass a number, anything you want, and then whenever you call that, that's basically a function. You can manipulate this number. So if you want to add something in this number, you can call this function, you can manipulate this number. Okay, so that's the general idea. So current page, item page, okay, current page, so I have to change it. So we no longer have current page. So what we have here is page number. Okay, same we having here, page number, item per page. Brilliant. Okay. So as I said, I will have a function. So the functions should name like let's name it switch, or no, switch, maybe switch page. Okay, so that will basically take a props, or let's say index for now. Okay, and then what will it do? It will basically take this index, and then it will basically call that this set page number function here. So let's say set page number, and then it will basically set that index. Okay, so we have defined our function, and now let's pass it to this button. So let's say this button, so each of the button will have a function here. All right, so this is the button, and on click we will say switch page, and now we have to pass something inside that argument body. Okay, but here's the problem. So this is the on click handler, I mean click handler, or even handler. So if you pass this function like this with this execution, so it is the same as let's say switch page, and then you execute it. Let's suppose we just pass 1. So when this page load, or when this file executed in the runtime environment, so it will basically not wait for anything, will just straight away execute the function, which will basically manipulate the page number. Okay, so we don't want that. So what you want, let's say we clicking on this button, and then we want to execute this function. Okay, so there is a catch, but don't worry, we have a solution for that. Okay, so how we can do that, it basically we pass the argument. Okay, no problem for that. So the argument would be the item. Okay, as we know that the item is basically I think we have it here. Yeah, we have it here. Okay, so the item is basically the index number. Okay, just the number. We can use the index number or just the element number, whatever. It's basically the same thing. So we're just basically passing that item or the number here. What happened here? Okay, we're passing this number, this item. So it basically 0 1 2, it basically looping through the arrays, contains 0 1 2 is same as like this. So 0 1 2 is passing to that function, switch space function, and basically set this number, basically calling this function, which is then basically manipulating the page number, which was 0 initially. So basically we changing the page number 0 1 2. Okay, sorry. So now, okay, so now as I said, when you execute the function like this, and then it basically doesn't wait for anything. So to fix this, we have to basically pass an anonymous function. Okay, this is a ES6 feature, which means this is an event handler. Okay, this on click, so it basically wait until you click. So when you click, then it basically execute this anonymous function. Okay, this is anonymous, that means it hasn't been declared in this anywhere in this file. Okay, so when you click, this anonymous function will execute. Okay, and then this anonymous function will then execute this function, switch page. Okay, and this switch page will then basically call this function, then basically eventually changing this number. Okay, so that basically it. Let's get rid of this thing, let's save it, and we should be okay. It says okay, it says React hook use states neither of React component or function. Okay, what does it mean by this? We have, there's a naming convention. Okay, so it means that is neither a function or component, or it's just basically a function. It doesn't return a JSX. So for that we have to rename it to capitalize. Okay, and then it will basically work. We go there, the browser. As you can see, we haven't got any error, and we're on the first page. We haven't done anything with the active now, but let's see. We click on the second page, and voila, look, it's working. If we go to third page, okay, even we go to the first page, okay, we go to the second page. So remember, the first item is the dental. So let's say we go to the third page, we got ear. Okay, and we go to the second page, we got bone, and we again go to the first page, is dental. So it's working. Brilliant. So all is left is the active. Okay, so right now, as you can see, 3 of them is active, so we don't want that. To fix that, we basically use of this page number. Okay, so page number. So in here we can use the styling tag. Okay, styling prop, and here we say that if page number, okay, so page number is basically our state here. So it's saying if page number is equal item. Okay, so what I mean by this is page number is basically, let's say the page load for the first time, so that time the page number should be 0. Okay, and let's say that this button is like just loading, so first, second and third item. So the first item is 0 and the second item and the page number is also 0. If that time is if it's both same, then I want to set let's say I want to set this button as an active, and rest of the button is inactive. Okay, and the second loop, let's say our page number here is 1. Okay, and in the first loop the page number is let's say 0, and that time is not true, so the second button is true, then that time the second button will be true. Okay, so let's see what do I mean by this. So if this true, only that time I want to set my background color. As you can see, is giving us the JavaScript form of styling. Okay, so we have to give the key name as a plain text, and then we have to provide the color name as a string. Okay, so it should be orange. Okay, and we're getting an error, of course, because we haven't it basically have 2 arguments. So let's say the first and the second one should be, if it's not true, and what we just basically want to render a null. That's all about it. Trust me, it's all about it. So let's go there. And okay, it's not working. Why? Because page number is equal to item, background color, null, class name, button. Okay, it should work, but okay, basically we forgot to save the styling, I mean CSS file. Okay, if you go there and look at that, is working. So wherever you click, okay, it just basically works just fine, no problem at all. Everything is automatic. Alright, so what is left is the styling a bit. As this video is going way too long, I'm not going through it, but just for sake of simplicity, let's say we have this p tag here is way too long, so it inside, as you can see, inside the card class. Okay, so what you can do, we can go to the styling and say card, where somewhere here. Okay, so let's say card, and p, we basically set the width of, let's say, 25 pixel. I'm not sure, let's see, because card is basically total, okay, 300 pixels, so it should be 250 or even 240 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, it looks a little bit nicer. Okay, and it has a little bit of hovering effect. Okay, the main, now I basically forgot, should have a bit of margin, let's say 50 pixel and auto, so we can basically see in the middle of the page or a little bit down of the page. Okay, so you can do basically change the styling however you want. As you can see, all the card has a border, so I don't want that. So border, let's say I can basically say white, so we just get rid of the border. Okay, it looks like I'm not sure if it's home, let's say app.css. Okay, we just basically get rid of everything. So app is basically everything. Background color, I have a nice color written here somewhere. Okay, right, now okay, then it should be in the, alright, it should be in the index.js, so index.css, sorry, not JSX, index.css body. Then we can set the background color of this. All right, and now you can see we have a little bit, or even we can go a bit darker so we can basically see it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not good at styling, I always get mess. Right, so main, just get rid of this main, and as you can see, looks a little bit better. I am not a good UI designer, so okay, that's basically it. It basically took a little way too longer than expected, but let's hear from you how basically you like this video. All right, if you like it, then hit the like button, and if you want, then you can also subscribe. Okay, and makes a comment. All right, if I obviously I'm not perfect, so as a beginner I should have, or I might have maybe couple of mistakes, or maybe a lots of mistakes, I don't know, but let me hear from you and help me learning this web development. Okay, till then, take care and keep learning. All right, see you then. Bye bye.